Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So in this video, we're finally going to take care of some of those miscellaneous things that we've got to get done. I know a lot of you guys have suggested it since we're running out of money and stuff. It's stuff that we can easily do. Like we've got to finish getting these windows done. So putting in the drywall, boxing them out. And I think I'm going to go one step further and actually do some more air sealing just in case. And then there's some maintenance that we have to do, and then a few things that we actually have to take care of on the inside of the house before we get back to drywalling, and a few other things that I want to show you guys. So first thing that we got to do in this video, maintenance wise, it's finally happened. Didn't think that it was going to because I was so good at looking for everything and just doing my due diligence at trying to find things, or anytime I hear like a nail or screw drop. But unfortunately, hopefully it's not one of mine, but Erin's tire got a screw in it. So we're gonna have to pull that out and repair it. Although I would not repair this tire like this for everybody. It's just something to get Erin through the next couple weeks. And that's just with a tire repair kit. And the reason why I say that's not really a great solution is because you really don't want to always repair things so close to the outer edge. You just want to do a full tire replacement. And in fact, most of the companies around here, tire repair shops and stuff, they won't even touch that. They'll just replace the whole tire because, again, the screw is so far to the outside edge. I think they say within an inch or so, and we're probably within, I don't know, 3/4, at least it is on the fat part of the tread, and it's on a thick part of tread, so not actually down in a groove. So the repair kit should be fine. But if you're watching this, I would just go ahead and replace the tire for your safety. But something just to get to Erin to work on not highway roads for now, and just something to get by. All right, so getting started on the day. It's actually very late. It's like 9 p.m. Holidays are over, January 2nd, so I'm gonna try and stay up all night and do stuff so I can get back to work this week. It is actually very hot in this garage. I just moved the jack from one side of the garage to the other and jacked this tire up a little bit to get it off the ground, and I'm already sweating like crazy. I lowered the temperature down here in the garage from 58 down to 55, and even at 55 degrees, it is still extremely warm in here when you're actually doing any actual physical labor. So these tire repair kits do work really well. Once you pull the obstruction out, you've got a reamer to just make the hole a little bit bigger. And then they've got these rubber strips in here with kind of an adhesive on it. You stick that in another tool, put some rubber cement on it, you push it down in the hole, and when you pull it out, you've got two little pigtails left over that you cut off, and the repair is done. I've actually had tires with those repairs last pretty much indefinitely till I sold the vehicle. So they do work. It's just more of a danger when you get more on the outside. Especially do not do one on this thin sidewall here, because that would have a potential after you ream it out that could blow out and be a catastrophic failure. But when you're actually still on the actual tread, it should be fine. But I'm just gonna go ahead and let the air out now. I've got it jacked up off the ground, so that way I can get a pair of pliers in here or a screwdriver, see if we can actually get this screw out. And then we'll let it sit for a few hours, then we'll blow it back up with air, and then hopefully the repair will be done and Erin will be good for some time. I can't say if that's actually one of mine. That's actually definitely not a house screw. What that looks like is a screw that was in one of those elbows that I put down into the vault for my bench. Just a real tiny like wood screw to hold metal, just cheap ones that come with like kits. That's what it looks like. I don't know how she would have picked that up if it was from us or if she actually just picked that up on the street, but that makes me feel a little bit better that it actually wasn't one of mine for what I was expecting it to be, from like a drywall screw or one of the outside screws or anything like that. So this is the reamer. This will kind of open up the hole and make it symmetrical, and it'll kind of shave away some of the rubber there. And this, you just use this one first again to open it up. All right, so once you got it reamed out, just take one of your little rubberized tar glue strips here, and they are very sticky, and you'll feed it through the eyelet of here, and then once you pull it out, it will leave the glue strip or the tar strip down inside of on the inside of the wheel, and then again you'll just be left with little pigtails. But I think the rubber cement helps as a lubricant to get it down and out, and it also helps kind of place it and hold it in its spot over time. And just shove it in the hole. And once it's in enough, just pull real fast. And that's it. So we just left these two little pigtails there. The glue should also help seal up that hole a little bit. We'll let that dry for a few hours. We'll cut the pigtails, and then we'll go ahead and fill it back up with air. So for tonight, that is one minor little task done that needed to get done. Now, as it's about 20 degrees outside, we'll have to play it by ear to see if I actually need to put my jacket back on. Because in the house, it's probably a heck of a lot colder than it is out in the garage, but definitely not 20 degrees that it is outside. And in fact, it is 43.7 degrees inside of the house. So that's actually warm enough that I can work without the jacket and not be cold, especially when you're running around and cutting stuff and doing stuff. So task number 2, I kind of already took care of. That was on the list. It's a recurring issue, and that is the vent stack over in this corner. The problem with the vent stack is that it keeps leaking water. So as I mentioned in other videos, we have got to buy a less horsepowered pump. So first off, this pipe right here at this level, which is about, just under my chest level here, that pipe is 10 foot long, going all the way down, then running over about 2 feet, which it is 2 feet at an angle. Then it's dropping down another like 3 feet, and then an additional 3 feet there down into the actual sump pump. And water was spewing out of here when we get a lot of heavy rain. So I added this coupling on, had another 5 foot piece sitting around, which was all the way up there on that coupling. And again, water was still shooting out of there. So that is at least 20 some feet of pipe and 2 feet or so horizontal, but that's 20 feet of pipe vertical, and water was still shooting out of there. So then I added that little piece on up through the drywall, and it is stopping right under where our roof is. And we had a leak at that coupling, so I had to cut that off, redo it up into the ceiling, and it's been raining nonstop for the last 2 days, all New Year's Day and New Year's Eve, and even a little bit today on the 2nd of January. And the drywall was getting wet up there. The upper sill plate had water on it, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way water is shooting up out of there. And the fact that the floor was even wet down here, I was like, we've got to have a leak from the outside. So went out there and I'm like, no, there's no way there can be a leak from the outside. I sprayed that rubber wall so thick on there, it's impossible. And not to mention the wet sill plate up there, there's no way that water could be coming from the outside also, because in between the ICF, the sill plate, and the OSB on that gable wall, I put in mastic and I rubber wall sprayed it. Not to mention that corner right there, you've got a 2 foot overhang on this side and a 2 foot overhang on that side. There's no way you're having an lift draft of wind carrying water up and getting into that corner right there and seeking it to the inside of the house. and there was no wind. The last 2 days it's been raining. The rain has just been coming 100% straight down without any wind at all. So that again told me that it was the vent stack, and what confirmed that finally was on the black air channels that we have connected up to the roof, there was water splash marks all on the bottom of it. So that 100% sealed it, that there can't be any more leaks from couplings. It can't be coming through the ICF wall. Yeah, we're just having water once again shoot out of that freaking vent stack. So like I said, I kind of fixed it yesterday, or fingers crossed I fixed it again. What I did was I added on a 10-foot horizontal pipe, and it's got a definite increase like this to it. So even if water could shoot straight up, it would have to completely fill that 2-inch pipe and then start to go 10 feet on a horizontal to where I don't think water would come out. Okay, so hopefully if you saw that with the light turned on, it looks like we're good. The dried sill plate is completely finished. I don't see any more water spots there. Down over here in the corner, it looks completely dried out now too, as opposed to what it looked like yesterday. So again, I think you're only getting like minute splashing. And I think what's happening is the water is taking the path of least resistance. So we got 112 feet, I think, out to the drain over there, and we've only got 20 feet here. So even though we're going completely vertical, 20 feet is still a lot easier than 112, especially when the sump pump is turning on like every 5 seconds when it's raining. And it does turn on very frequently when it's raining. So the water going out that 112 feet is just kind of trickling down by gravity. So up around the house, that 2-inch pipe may be a lot more filled with water as opposed to a completely open vent. So when the sump pump turns on, the water is trying to shoot through a wall of water, and it's backtracking and going up the path of least resistance. So it's not that the water drainage is failing, it's just that the pump is turning on so frequently that the water can't get all the way out the 112 feet by the next time the pump turns on. So probably my fault again with the discharge not being sloped enough, and the fact that we have a 6,600 gallon an hour sump pump trying to really shoot that water out so hard and so fast. And even the fact of how I designed the French drain around the house. Now for you new subscribers, if you've missed those videos in the past, we've got a 6-inch French drain. That is a very large pipe to be carrying water. It goes 100% on the whole outside of the house and around the entire garage. And even though grading helps on the front of the house, the side of the house, and the back of the house, we still have to get our gutters on so we actually get water away. But again, we're still failing on that side of the garage with the garage doors because all of that stone leading up to the apron, that stone is literally like 8 feet tall. So any water that rains on that side of the house goes down straight down through 8 inches of stone, and it's into the French drain and being carried over. And in fact, I can even guarantee you that because when the sump pump quickly drains the water out, I put my camera down in the sump pump hole and videotaped where the water was coming in to the pipe as it was going underneath of the footer down into the basin. And you've got a garden hose size water flow flowing in from the left side where that pipe was teed together, dropped down, 90'd under the footer, and then went into the sump pump basin. So that T is flowing a garden hose of water down this way and just filling that catch basin back up as fast as water garden hose can flow. So that is the pipe all on the front side of the house, and that is all of the pipe on the front side of the garage. Because the way I slope that drain, that corner of the house or the corner of the garage over on here is the high point, and then it drains downhill on the back of the house, and then downhill on that side of the house, and then the same thing, drains downhill front of the garage, downhill in front of the house. So basically in the opposite corners of the foundation is where the drainage is happening. So the fact that I could see that water coming from the left, that tells me it's the front and the garage. So to take care of the garage one day, we're going to have to pour a concrete pad, at least for where the RV is and outside of the garage doors. That way water can just hit that concrete and run out into the yard instead of actually always just going right down into our French drain. So while it's super warm, let's go ahead and go back out into the garage. Let's do some cutting of foam. Let's put some caulking around the foam and the window and the wood, so that way we get a 100% air seal, because I'm just not 100% confident that this spray foam is going to do its job. So if we caulk the window to the spray foam to the wood buck here, we will know that we've got 100% airflow, or not airflow, in here, along with a little bit of R value. Then we can go ahead and put up our drywall, and we won't have to worry about sealing it twice because we know it's behind there. Okay, 1 down, 3 to go out here in the garage. As you can see, I only needed 1 piece of 5/8 drywall on this side, and I needed 2 over there, and I needed 2 up there, and that's just how the window was set in the opening that I had. So that fills up the frame. I'm gonna have to wait for Erin to move her car and for me to move my car tomorrow. It's just too loud and not enough room to finish these out tonight. And I left all my silicone out in the truck, so it's completely frozen. But again, we've got a good deal of silicone on the outside of that window. Then we set the window in place. Then we zip taped it. Then we put spray foam all on the inside of that window. Then we siliconed it again for even more air sealing, especially on the bottom. Since the bottom of the window, when it was set, we do not have silicone on the bottom. The window's actually spaced out just a little bit from the wall. So air and bugs actually can get underneath of the window and start to make their way up into the house. Well, we got the trim on, which kind of re-siliconed all that back up. But technically speaking, if that window leaks, it can leak out behind the siding and stuff, and that should help not bring any water inside one day. But we did want to go ahead and re-silicone on the inside down there. So we have 100% silicone and weatherproofed gap down there. And then we siliconed all the way up on the inside of the drywall to the frame. Then we can go ahead and paint that, and you'll never see it. And then we just need to figure out what kind of trim we want. I think I'm gonna do a wooden bottom down here that will stain or do something to. And then we'll probably do wood trim all the way up and around. So that way we're hiding all the gaps and everything. And then the wood trim, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. Maybe paint it, maybe stain it, who knows. But we gotta do that 3 more times here in the garage. And then we gotta invite Fred back out here to start sanding and doing everything over here for the drywall. I could probably start sanding it tonight, but if he's out here, he might as well go ahead and hit all of the windows at once too. So that way all the drywalling, all the sanding and everything will be done out here in the garage, and then we can go ahead and finish up the painting finally. So another thing that we can work on tonight while we're waiting for the silicone to heat up from being outside in the truck all day is we've never officially finished our front door. The way our front door secures to the house is they've got these mounting plates, which you can see there's a little bit of a bevel up, and those are screwed into the wooden frame. You then take one of these brackets and you slide it in between the wooden frame and this bracket here. And as you can see, these ribs are facing up and these ribs are facing up, and they kind of like link to each other like that, and that pinches it in place. And then you just put some nails in this way into your 2x4 framing. Well, we've only got 4 of them in right now, and the door technically has 8. Well, we had to ask Therma-Tru to give us 8 more of these because these are not long enough. These brackets don't start until they're way inside of the framing, which these only get to like right about there with only maybe like one notch. So we're taking extra ones of these and cutting them down like that so that we can put these together basically and then weld them together. And now we've extended 2 or 3 inches into the door so that way we can actually attach them. So I got to trim all these down real quick, cut 4 of them up, and then we'll just weld them on this side and this side, and then that will actually get us to put them inside. Then once we have all 8 of them in and the door actually nailed in, we can finish spray foaming the 4 spots that I didn't do where these are, and then we can silicone the inside on a later date, and then we can drywall it out and the door will be finished. All right, that's another one kind of done. Now we have all 8 brackets in there. They're also nailed with 3-inch roofing nails into the 2x. So now we just need again to wait for the silicone and the spray foam to warm up. And then we can go ahead and get all around that one and the bottom one and that bottom and that top. Fill out the top, and then we can kind of silicone it in. The only thing I don't know how we're gonna do it is, I don't know how I'm gonna drywall or frame this in, because you've got a heck of a space right in here where this bracket is sitting out. So if I put a trim piece against right here, it's only gonna be able to hit on the metal before a nail or screw can go all the way through there and actually get into the lumber. So I might have to take a piece of lumber and set it on here first, in between each bracket. That way we're filling out the space, so a piece of lumber will be equal with this bracket. Then when we take another piece of wood and we set it right here, we can shoot through that piece of wood into the spacer, and then we'll be sitting in here. But then that way, that will clear that out and get rid of that. But we'll have to paint it or stain it the same color as this, or I don't know what else we would do. I guess you could do drywall in here, but that's not a lot of room. That's barely probably 1 inch in between there, plus whatever the 1/2 inch is over here. You're sticking in a piece of drywall right there, and I don't know how secure that will be. But yeah, I guess you could silicone it then in here, and then put a piece of trim over in here that would cover all that up. But I don't know, something to think about, food for thought for right now, of how to get the inside of this to look perfect. All right, next, let's see if we can't figure out the fireplace and just throw up these last few panels. All right, yeehaw, another thing done. Fireplace 100% knocked out, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I have actually not passed framing inspection. So I actually need to call the county this week and set up an appointment. They need to verify all of the roof trusses and braces up on each side. They'll have to probably get up on my ladder to see on each side. So good thing we haven't started drywall up here yet. I don't know what framing inspection I'll actually pass with interior walls that are not load bearing at all. Really, I think it's just how you would build it out. But I need that check off so that they can finalize and finish the roof out. And then at a later time, when we come back and we do plumbing, we'll have to hopefully get an access hatch for the plumber so that he can go up and see all the vent stacks and everything. But hopefully they won't kill me over that if they have to go up and look up through there. But we'll see what happens. But it's actually not too late right now, but there's just a few other little miscellaneous things that I want to knock out real quick. But yeah, before I move any further and actually doing a lot more, I want to schedule that appointment and get the framing inspection done so that we can call that one more thing on that checkoff list. 100% knocked out. Then I think the only other two things we have are HVAC and the plumbing. After that, I honestly think we might be 100% done. That we could actually even move into the house, but that plumbing checkoff is going to incorporate the septic system, which I think my permit for that has also run out. So I need to resubmit that, which is another like $700. Plus my permit for the well has run out. That's $300 and some. So we need to redo basically all of the permits because I've gone over the 1 year allowed time frame, which really sucks and just basically is stealing my money, but I can't fight them. What am I gonna do? So hang tight. I'll be back and let you know how the inspection goes, or I'll come bring you guys along with me. So hang tight and we'll be back again on this video on finishing that out. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is January 4th. I just wanted to do this real quick. I did call the county, did have an inspection just happen, and he did approve me on finishing out the drywall. So I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself so that I could pass framing inspection. And I haven't technically passed framing inspection because the rough framing also goes along with the HVAC. And while technically our HVAC is done because you do not need air conditioning, you just need heating. While all of that's done with radiant heating, I told him that we are going to do an air handler or an HRV, I believe, which I think I've told you guys in the past I was always going to do an ERV, but I've changed my mind and we're going to do an HRV. Since an HRV does have to go through, if we put it in the basement, it has to go through the floor joists. That technically counts as the rough framing. He needs to see that I don't cut too big of holes or cut holes too close to another hole. So that way I'm going by my joist manufacturer's specs. He didn't actually sign me off on my framing. So technically I failed, but only because I don't have my holes cut in my floor joists for an air handler or an HRV. But he gave me the go-ahead along with the electrician giving me the go-ahead, I think back in November or October, that basically we can go ahead and finish out the ceiling drywall, which means that we can go ahead and insulate, which means that very, very soon the house will be warm for the very first time, minus the back door and those two windows that just have like a R5 foam panel on there. But very, very soon we can get the house actually up to temperature and more comfortable and warm, because I can go ahead and finish out the middle section of drywall now, and we can go ahead and get the insulation up there. So it's a pass to me. It's just not a pass on paper yet. So woohoo. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is January 7th. So I want to do two more miscellaneous things in this video for you guys. One of them has to do with Erin and I found a little bit of financing, and she also went ahead and got her pendant lights for the kitchen island. So we're gonna have her show you guys what she got and the quality and everything on that light, and maybe we'll go ahead and even get them installed. But first up, Erin and I found a little bit of financing. So what we're doing, I'm not that happy about it, but it is what it is, because it's a debt that one day we're gonna have to pay back anyway. And there was no other way to get a large sum of money to where it basically isn't costing us anything. So our RV has skyrocketed in price. I think when we bought that thing in 2019, it had said that it had a MSRP of like $65,000. Now, not getting into it very deeply, but the whole pre-COVID RV thing was basically a big crock. They would say its MSRP was $65,000, but then we're only selling it for like $45,000. So you're like, oh my God, $20,000 discount. What a great deal. Where do I sign? Let's get it right now. But if you look at that RV year, make, and model, every single dealership across the entire United States was selling it for $45,000. So unlike a car where they show you the MSRP and then you have to go into the dealership and negotiate and you're trying to get rebates and all that stuff and get it down to whatever, the RV dealerships are just saying it's 45. So in my opinion, if you're gonna go buy an RV pre-COVID, you're buying the RV at the 45,000 and then you're negotiating from there. But the point is, we didn't owe a lot of money on it, but the banks are still viewing it as the original MSRP was $65,000. And it's actually only gone up from then. Erin and I looked at a bank maybe a month ago and the RV's retail value was $72,000. Then we looked again on NADA and it was $77,000. And now today, Friday, January 7th, 2022, they're saying that the value is $80,000. Now, we're not taking it out for that much. We're not refinancing where we only owe like, I don't even know at this point, 30, 40,000, whatever. We're not going and taking out an $80,000 loan and putting 40 grand in our pocket, let's say. But we are taking out a lot of money that we can go ahead and like finish up the inside of the house. Not completely, but getting the drywall done and getting attic insulation done, where again, the spray foam is gonna cost a little bit of money and then doing the blown in for the rest of the way. So that basically is gonna really help seal up this house and basically complete it to a point like that. And this money is really gonna help us. And we're not really paying anything for it. I mean, if you were to go take out a $10, $20, $30, $40,000 loan, that's gonna be a lot of money per month that you now have to go into debt-wise. But we're refinancing the RV at a little bit longer of a term and at a lower interest rate. Our monthly payment on the RV is actually gonna go up $100. There is no place in the world where you can get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and only pay $100 a month for it. So this is really helping us out. And no matter what, whether we're refinancing the RV or we're just going and getting a bulk lump sum of money, we have to pay that back one day. We're going to pay it back once the house is complete and a bank gives us a mortgage. We will take that lump sum of mortgage money, put it back into our pockets, and then we'll pay off a credit card, we'll pay off the RV, we'll pay off this, that, whatever that we owe. And then the rest of the money we'll probably just put back into our savings account where we originally started this. So no matter what, that debt has to be paid off. So whether it's going to pay off the RV or pay off a creditor, again on a credit card or paying it off on a personal loan, we have to pay it off no matter what. So to get that much money again and only pay like $100, we can't beat it. So hang tight. I'm gonna have Erin do the whole pendant light unboxing and show you guys what she got. And again, we might hang them. I have contacted Fred today. He's got to come over and do the sanding and the drywall, me finish up in here and start doing the screw holes, or let him do the screw holes and then the caulking and everything. And then I want him to take a look at the inside of the house and give us a price quote on taping and mudding the ceilings that we have. And then we have to start getting started on the vault ceilings. But at least if he starts taping mudding the flat ceilings, then we can actually go ahead and install these pendant lights and everything. And then we don't have to worry about getting them dusty and everything from when he's actually sanding. We don't want that sanding going on all the lights. So if we don't install them today or in this video, that's okay. Again, I want him to basically finish out the ceiling, and I'm not sure if he actually can finish out the ceiling because it's going to be cold in the house. It's really getting down to freezing temperatures outside now. In fact, I think it's only in the teens right now, but in the garage, it feels amazing at a perfect 55 degrees. But inside of the house, I actually haven't gone in today and looked. But with it being again in the teens right now, it looks like the inside of the house is showing 33.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is quite cold in here. And that again is because the ceiling is not done yet with the drywall. And of course, we don't have any insulation up anywhere in the ceiling. So we got to get this done as soon as possible.
Hey guys, a little something different today. We're going to do an unboxing for you. This is something that I've been waiting for such a long time. It took me about 6 months to come to a decision on what was going to be the pendant lights for over the island in the kitchen. If you follow our Instagram, you know that I'm super picky about everything and I have to look at every possible thing before I make a decision. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's just how I am. So after 6 months of scouring every possible website, this is what I chose. These are Tala, I think is how you say it. Tala lights. It's a company from the UK. They are hand-blown glass lights. They recommend that you hang them in groups of 3 to get more light because it's not a super powerful light, but we're not trying to light a huge area. Plus we have the can lights that Scott put in. So if these aren't bright enough, that will take over. I just think these are gonna look amazing. So let's open the boxes and show them.
How much were they?
$150, I wanna say. $150, and they're having, well, it's over now, but they were having a winter sale. It was on until the 3rd of January. So I was able to get them at 15% off. I have this fear that as I'm pulling it out, I would drop it and it would shatter because that would be my luck. This is it.
So it's just a bulb.
It's just a bulb with the most awesome artsy little filament running through it. I'm telling you, this is it. I saw these when I started searching for lights a long time ago. Saved a picture of them, but just kind of blew it off and thought, nah, that's not gonna work. And it really was months and months of looking for stuff and not falling in love with anything. And then I think these came back through my Instagram feed because they were on sale. And I thought, it's gotta be a sign.
I gotta say the quality is pretty good. I'm surprised you don't get boxes like this in America where they're like double walled cardboard and then all of this padding inside. Erin and I have made our own lights before. We were able to find, they're really padded. We were able to find this like corrugated cord, if you will. And we just made our own stuff. So we went and found like an actual fixture like this. And then we had this nice soft, like old school time of like corrugated cotton type wire. And then I just made my own base. But after all that money, or the time at least it's spent to get all this in one package for only $150, and again to have it so nicely packaged, I'd say that's pretty good. But I don't know how long these bulbs are gonna last, but...
the website says like 10 years. I think it says averages like 8 to 10 years maybe.
Because they're LED.
They're LED.
Now, what I don't understand on the website, let's see if these are any different. Yeah, I think the website is wrong. It says they're 2200 Kelvin. So these are actually gonna be the yellowest of yellow lights we have in the house. I think the bathroom, half bath lights are probably one of the lowest at like 2800 Kelvin or something. So these are gonna be very, very yellow, but they only have 150 lumen. They're only running on 3 watts, so they're pulling nothing. And then there it is. It says 110 to 120 volt. On the website, it said 220 volt. And my father-in-law is like, there's no way in hell you can't run that. And I'm like, there's no way that's gonna run a 220 volt. It's just a little LED with 3 watts. So by looking at what they have in here, you're grounding the base. There's a green wire, so a ground, and then you have a positive and a neutral, which actually they are labeled black and white. So I knew that was gonna be 110 volt, so no worries about install.
Well, part of the problem was, what I didn't realize when I was trying to purchase these, there's the UK site, and then there's the US site. So when I first tried to buy them, I knew I was on the UK site, but it said they did US shipping. I took a screenshot of the specs sent it to my dad. That was when he started saying, no, that's not the light for you. That's not the right volts. Later, I ended up just, because they wouldn't ship to us, so that was another problem. Ended up just Googling and then found the US-based store, saw that it was 120 volts. So I guess the other one is just what's standard in the UK. So it ended up working out really well.
That's weird. I still don't see how that would work.
Why?
Because I just don't see how you'd put that much power to a light bulb and not have it explode. But I don't know. People in UK, you tell me. How are you guys able to run light bulbs at 220 volt when there's such a low wattage bulb to where you wouldn't need that much power going to it? So super easy install. Just have to wait to get that ceiling mudded and taped and then sanded out. And then after that, we can go ahead and hang these. And then I think besides these, we just need one more light and then we're done in the house. And that's gonna be the dining room above the kitchen table.
So I'll take another 6 months minimum to choose that. I have to overthink everything. And then when that gets here, we'll do an unboxing of that one too.
So before we wrap this video up, 2 more updates or maybe even 3 more updates. So it is absolutely freezing outside. We're getting down into like the single digits at night, and I came out here last night and it was actually 31 degrees. So we are not able right now to heat up this first floor. So last night I just threw some whatever over top of the stair opening to stop that cold air from just rushing down there, because we were having our tankless boiler running nonstop. So we are burning through propane like crazy. And I have no idea what we're actually burning, because that Rinnai can go anywhere from 15,000 BTU all the way up to 199,000 BTU. So I don't know what the demand is. What I can tell you is the water coming back throughout the entire basement floor is like under 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So that tells me that Rinnai is probably cranking all the way up to 200,000, because I was also having the water leave the boiler at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So clearly it is cold enough that this cold air is going down into the basement, cooling that concrete down enough that it's trying to leave again at 140 degrees and it's coming back at under 60. So very, very cold. Boiler's running nonstop. I lowered it from 50 degrees down to like 41 degrees. And then by sealing up the hole, hopefully we're stopping that transmission. And very soon when I get this sealing done, that's gonna help even more. But I don't know when we're actually gonna do the insulation up in there. The spray foam guys that did the garage say they do have a winter formula for closed cell spray foam, but when it's 9 degrees outside, I don't even know how you could spray that. Yes, it's a chemical reaction and it heats up and stuff. And again, they say it's a winter formula, but we just may have to wait on a much warmer day to actually start doing the air sealing with the 1 inch of blown or closed cell spray foam before we then actually pay for the blown in insulation to finish it out. So it may be a couple more weeks until we actually get this ceiling 100% done. So until then, I think we're just gonna leave it freezing cold up here on the first floor. There's nothing to freeze, there's nothing to break. We just need to make sure that the basement is not running 24/7 on the boiler, and we're stopping some of that transmission down into the basement. Another thing I wanted to mention that I forgot, I did ask the inspector, how do you feel about having such an airtight ceiling and putting an access door up over there on that gable wall, which would be up in the attic of the garage, that you can then come over into the attic of the house? And he said I actually can do that as long as I put in a door. Now, some of you had mentioned, hey Scott, you can't do that. You know, the garage and the house should be separate. And you are correct. And yes, we should keep it separate. But by putting in a door that actually closes, that will be the 15 or 30 minute fire stop. He said, as long as you use a piece of drywall, you should be fine. And I said, well, if I cut out a hole with that OSB, can I use the OSB as a door? And he goes, yeah, 1/2 inch of OSB should count as a 15-minute fire also. But then I know some of you mentioned that, what about the fumes? And I mentioned that to the inspector. And I said, I mean, the ceiling in the garage is so well sealed besides that access hatch. Any fumes that are leaking up into the garage attic, If they do come through that door's crack and stuff and get up into the house attic, well, really, where's it gonna go? We have a closed cell spray foamed ceiling. It's not like the exhaust fumes can get down into the house. They're just gonna leak up through this ridge vent as they would leak up through the garage ridge vent. So regardless of where you live, if that's correct or not, the inspector for here in my county did say that I could go ahead and do that as long as I leave a door in place. It can latch shut. So kind of like the vault room, maybe we'll put some ball hinges or some sort of latching mechanism on the door, but as long as it stays shut, we should have our fire rating that we need in between the two attics. And if I wanted to go one step further, I could put a little piece of like neoprene or some sort of gasket sealer around the door as it closes, and that would help mitigate or stop mitigation from that exhaust fumes if that actually needed to be done. But yeah, so my goal to keep this ceiling in the house 100% air sealed, it will work. We do not have to put a ladder access hatch or anything, or not even a ladder, but just a push-up access hatch in the master closet. We can just put a door over there so we can climb up into the attic in the garage, come into this attic, and then you can walk on over from one side to the other, and it should be good to go. So the only thing I have to do now is get some electricity up into the attic. Where that door is gonna go, we need to put in a light switch, and then I'm probably gonna hang 3 lights up in each attic. So one on this side, one on this side, and one in the middle, and we'll do those big bulbs that we got like in the garage attic. So that way you can, as soon as you come in here, you can flip a switch and the entire attic will be 100% lit up with light and you can see everything. So besides those little updates and things that I gotta get working on and get the hell out of here right now because it is so freaking cold. I think it's only 32 degrees up here right now. We might as well go down in the basement real quick to check to see if these boards here helped all night long keep the temperature up, and let's see if we're actually maintaining 41 degrees. Oh, this should be fun all the time. Oh yeah, I can already feel it's definitely warmer down here, but again, I turned it all the way down to 41 degrees. Yes, awesome. So it was 45 or 44 degrees last night, coming down from 50, and I lowered the thermostat all the way down to 41, and right now it's actually 45. So just by covering up that hole right there, it actually raised 1 degree of temperature up here in the basement from last night. And it couldn't have been from the radiant floor heat because it's set at 41. There's no way for it to turn it on. The only way we got a degree to come up here in the basement in the middle of the daytime is probably the sunlight coming from these windows. So that's awesome. We don't have to worry about the pipes freezing, and we can just leave it covered up down here, and it'll be a heck of a lot warmer, and we don't have to spend any money really having the boiler run, heating it up down here. But again, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Miscellaneous video here, just little stuff that we're getting knocked out for you guys. We're gonna follow up with more videos here in the future with, I don't really know what. One thing I was thinking to help with more transferring up, as long as we've got all of our lateral bracing in and stuff, I was thinking about going and buying our bat insulation to start stuffing it up in there. And that would obviously keep the heat down in here a hell of a lot more. And we're also insulating the floor, not just because we're trying to keep the heating here in the middle of winter, but we're insulating the floor because we also need this floor soundproof. So kind of like the same thing with the walls up in the first floor. If we're gonna do 5/8 of drywall, acoustic sound sealant, another piece of 5/8 drywall, then we've got a 2x6 wall that we insulate, and then another 5/8 sheet of drywall on this side that will dang near get us to a complete soundproof wall. So the same thing on these floors. If we're gonna do a 5/8 piece of drywall down here, we need to stuff insulation up in there to stop the sound transferring. Then we've got a 3/4 inch subfloor, which then before we put down our hardwood floors, we're gonna put a mat of sound deadening material. It's like a little thick pad that really stops the sound transfer, especially if you drop something on the hardwood floor. It doesn't like shockwave out in a real loud sound. That will act as the acoustic sealant like the wall. And then of course another 3/4 of an inch of our hardwood floors. So we've got 3 substrates on the floor, 3 substrates on a wall, an acoustic type of sealant or barrier in between two substrates and then insulation in both. So if that's gonna work for the wall, it'll 100% work for the floor. So because we're pretty much getting close to being done with all the wiring and the plumbing down in most of these sections, then we can go ahead and throw the insulation up above all the wiring and above all of the plumbing. And again, that's gonna cut down on future sound transmission, but for right now, it would also keep the insulation up in the ceiling and keep the heat down in this basement a hell of a lot more comfortable. And we won't have to be wasting money on propane and stuff as we're trying to heat it up down here. But that will be in another video. I know some of you are gonna say, just insulate the roof. But if we insulate the floor first, that'll be a little bit easier to get done, and we don't have to worry about spray foaming and some rolls or bats of insulation to throw in the floor joists. They really don't cost that much money, probably around $1,000, as opposed to the $4,000 or $5,000 that we're gonna have to spend to do the entire attic. So that's real quick and easy to do, and again, just keeping that heat down in there. So again, gonna wrap this video up here. Let me guys know if you think of any more miscellaneous stuff that we can do, things that I've talked about that you can comment on, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hit us up on NeckofTheWoods 2020 on Instagram if you need to personal message us. And until then, we'll see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed another one. Take care.